Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Diane Hayden, publisher of Natural Nutmeg Magazine and Essential Naples Magazine, and welcome to our weekly podcast where I interview our expert writers and contributors on topics ranging from natural medicine, nutrition, green living, fitness, spirituality, and much more, including how to live a healthy, more holistic lifestyle. I'm excited to have with me today Kenny Liu and Gina Bria. Kenny has been an entrepreneur for over 20 years with extensive international experience building businesses in the US, Canada, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia, and Singapore. He's been heavily involved in marketing, sales, business development, and fundraising. Kenny is fluent in English and Mandarin and has worked with professional sports, nutraceuticals, beauty products, international business expansions, digital platform development, and his new company now, Spring Aqua Water. And Gina Bria is an anthropologist and author. She discovered hydration solutions to modern water challenges while researching desert dwellers. She convened the first TEDx event, Bodies of Water, creating 4 TEDx talks, as well as the Hydration Foundation to spread the wealth of information she holds on structured water. Gina has been researching ritual foods, nutrition, and hydration strategies for 25 years. She is a founding member of the Worldwide Water and Health Association with Dr. Gerald Pollack, and her work has appeared in the New York Times, Grand Central Station, Harvard University, and in Berlin. So welcome, Gina and Kenny. How are you today?
Excited to be here. I hope this is a
Exciting.
mind-bending conversation for your audience. Really. Right, Kenny? Let's go do it.
I'm
Absolutely.
excited to be around you guys. This is amazing. Definitely amazing. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I met Kenny. I don't think there's any coincidences, but I met him through a mutual friend a couple months ago, I think, and we started chatting about water, and he kind of opened my mind to a lot of things. And I wanted to have this podcast because I feel like water is one of those things that we kind of all take for granted. And, we know we need water where there's all this recommendation, you got to drink 8 8-ounce glasses or however many glasses based on whatever your body weight is, and this, that, and the other thing. And, it makes up the large percentage of our body, but we don't really think, I think, past, but what is the kind of water that we're drinking? So I wanted to have you guys on. I love this combination, this collaboration of, Gina's background and Kenny, the company that you've started. And we actually have articles coming out in our July and summer issues for Natural Nutmeg and Essential Naples. You'll be able to see those in print or digital. But let's kind of get back to the basics. And I just want to start with the question. I mean, one of the things that I'm sure people think when we talk about water is we know that, it's better to have filtered water, clean water, that kind of thing. But I think a lot of people think, oh, I'll just go, I'll just get bottled water, or I'll have Poland Spring delivered to my house, or I'll put in, I've got a filter on my refrigerator, or, my sink, that kind of thing. Let's talk about all the differences with all of those things. And, Gina, you can give us a little bit of a background on how you got into all this and all of your, amazing knowledge on the kind of water.
Yeah, so this is exciting because, that's the most important question we're going to answer that you just raised, Diane. And I'm going to give a little bit of background just to help people understand how I get to the kind of information that I want to share with you. So I'm an anthropologist, and I was trying to understand why desert people did not die without 8 glasses of water a day. Like, doesn't that seem like an obvious question?
Yep.
Why were they surviving without these, liquids? And the surprise in my research, I'm going to be a really short version of this so we get to the whole conversation we want to have today. But the big surprise for me was discovering in desert regions around the globe, they were finding their water not in liquid form, but locked up in plants. So I want you to think cactus. I want you to think aloe vera. Even tubers that are buried under the ground. Actually, tubers under the ground are a fantastic strategy for storing hydration. Thank you, Mother Nature. You're so smart. And then desert groups would use water stored in these plants. They would ingest or eat their water. They weren't getting it from a liquid form. They were getting it out of the cellular structure of the plant, the storage in the plant.
Which makes sense to me, because like if they were having to get it from liquid form, that could be a problem being in a desert, right?
Right. Yeah, but the Mother Nature or ecological intelligence, the design functioned well within the ecology that people were working in. The surprise news for me was finding out through my then science research, because I wanted to figure out, I didn't know at first that it was water inside the plant. I just thought it was gel. Like, what's that jelly like? I thought it was going to be a polysaccharide, Diane, to tell you the truth. I was like doing all the research. And I ended up calling, I called on my colleagues to find out what this gel-like material was in the plant. And nobody had an answer among my anthropologist friends, although they started giving me lots of anecdotal stories of, oh yeah, so-and-so in this region uses, blah, blah, blah. They had all different kinds of plants. I ended up calling Dr. Gerald Pollack at the University of Washington because he was a water scientist. And I thought maybe he could give me a good lead on the relationship of water to plant or something in there. When he told me the water inside those plants, what I was looking at, the gel, was a concentrated form of water, I was knocked over. I'm like, okay, are you telling me that there's a gel form of water that we don't pay attention to? And he said, well, not only is it in every plant, not just desert plants, but all cellular structure, all cells in plants are this gel form of water. But guess what? The cellular structure inside of you is filled with this gel water. So that's the first point I want to land for your listeners. There is a different kind of water inside your body than liquid, and inside every living cell. And it's a more concentrated, more gel-like form. And this gel-like form is important because it's multiple things at once, but it folds proteins. It passes electrical impulses much more efficiently. It passes information from cell to cell signaling. So if you're familiar with sonograms, you know they put the gel on you to try to get a good reading. This is what we're talking about. And when you get the idea that water is more important in its cell signaling ability than even its moistening ability, you know you're now in a new territory of talking about ways to health. How do we make our cell signaling efficient and coordinated among all the cells? It needs water in a different state than liquid. It's still, the body still uses liquid, but it needs this gel form.
Well, and that makes perfect sense too, because when you think about what causes aging or what causes disease, I mean, it's a breakdown in cellular signaling and activity and DNA and all of that. So that totally, makes sense to me, that now we're talking about a different form of water, and why we can't just look at, like, the liquid we get out of a plastic bottle or the tap or whatever,
or
as
that we
a true health.
Right. That we even think of water only in liquid form. We already know it has different forms. We just hadn't been paying attention. We know it comes in vapor form. We know it comes in liquid form. We know it comes in ice form. Guess what? There's a gel form. And it turns out all our cells are filled with the gel form. So that's the first thing I want to land for your audience. Then I want them to ask the question, well, if all my cells are filled with gel, how much gel am I made of? How much gel is me?
Right. How much?
Wow. Now we get to open the question of, oh my gosh, water is filling every cell. This means water is going to be my access, my exponential access to health and wholeness, longevity, intelligence, beauty, name it, athletic performance. Water is going to be the point in my health strategy, which has the most potency and input in all of the changes and transformations I need to be undergoing. So 2 major points. 1, there's a different kind of water. 2, you're full of it.
Right. Exactly. So you learn all this information, and you make these discoveries, and then, like, how did you start Hydration Foundation, and where did it go from there?
Right. Well, the first part and the first step for me was going to the knowledge that, oh my gosh, we can get hydrated by eating instead of drinking. So that was an important point for me to really go, wait a minute, how can I help spread that important information? That eating a lot of plants is going to bring you better hydration than, get ready for it, guzzling water from your tap or your bottles. So there's a functional aspect to this. The getting high water in you through, better water in you through eating. And then that now piggyback on top of that is our very difficult circumstances in which the water in our tap and the water in our bottles has been damaged and broken by the way we treat water, water treatment, chemical washing, pressurization through pipes. Now I get to bring a little bit more of the science that I work with, which is the molecular structure of water, and finding out that the way we treat water in our modern conditions, because it was a good intention, we wanted to get rid of the bacteria, but we didn't know that we were breaking up the way the molecules cohere together. We were disorganizing water's molecules inside that water drop and making them less able to signal and to pass on energy. So this has become a huge passion of mine now. This is my life's work, is to share why water is so important. And unfortunately, how broken the water in our society is. And then finally, the work of the Hydration Foundation is to help us recover water all over the planet in whatever way we can. So this is the most ecologically important act I feel we can take too, is to recover water.
Mm-hmm. Right, because it's not all, it's, you know, it's not only the quality, but it's the quantity. I mean, it's reducing how much water we actually need to drink. And when we look at it from this different perspective of we're getting it from food, or it needs to be, you know, the structure needs to be different, we're less concerned, I think, about, oh, I have to get these 64 ounces every day.
Exactly. And what a great relief to people, because people they struggle to do it. I know from anybody I've talked to how hard it is to get that volume of water in you. And we haven't even raised the additional question is if you're struggling to drink that level of water and you want that much water in your life, you're drinking broken water, which dilutes the good water inside of you that your body's managed to repackage into this organized, structured form, this gel-like form. So when I talk about gel water, I'm talking about structured water too. There are many names for it: ordered water, coherent water, liquid crystalline water, because we're looking at it now from many different disciplines are stumbling into this, oh my gosh, we didn't realize there's many phases to water, and what phase you have in you does different kind of work in the body. So we're missing waters that do phases of water that do important work, like passing on electrical function. It doesn't mean that the liquid we're drinking can't do that. It's just that it's not doing it well and efficiently, and hence you're only getting half of the efficiency out of your body that you could get. And why is now the next question, of course, as an ethnographer, anthropologist, I look out at my culture and I go, oh my God, 1 in 2 of us is chronically ill, including our children. So that tells me something is deeply wrong with the way we're surviving our ecological environments.
Oh yeah, definitely. And think about it from the perspective of, like, you know, we're, like I said in the beginning, we're worried about, you know, the food that we're eating, you know, is it organic? Is it non-GMO? We're concerned about all of those things. We're taking supplements because we think, you know, we're not getting the right kind of food, or our body isn't metabolizing it right.
Right.
We're exercising, you know, we're out in nature, we're doing all these things, and then we're drinking out of either a plastic water bottle or tap water that we think has a filter on it, but probably, you know, isn't even filtering out half of the things that we need it to. Plus, even if it was, now what we're saying is it's still not the right kind of water.
Right, exactly. So so if I can really help everybody who's listening to this rethink what their body actually is, and recognize that you are a vast water being. You're made up of water locked in your cells. They're like little Ziploc bags there. They, it's full of jelly, and they quiver and send signals back and forth to each other. So your water and your water intake and your water strategies are the way you're going to climb out of the ecological environment that we live in that is so compromised, including our water. So this information is coming on the scene. Diane, I really believe this, just at the right time to save us. I mean, we are really in trouble. We're confronted with so many compromised foods, environments, electronic devices. At every point, we're really taking hits. And what's wonderful to think about supplements and food and diet and movement is that each one of those is touched and expanded by water. Yeah. So however you want to turn in the story, it's a piecemeal story. What supplements should I be taking? How much exercise should I get during the day? It's all kind of a piece. How do I get away from the stress of my life? Each one of these is addressed and supported and uplifted by water. Right. Wow. That's truly our holistic approach. Get the water dealt with first. Yeah. And get yourself truly hydrated.
I don't know if anybody else has thought about this, but over the last couple of months, it's interesting that we're like having this, that I met Kenny, we're having this conversation. Before I met him, I had started working with a trainer, and I never really paid attention to how much water I drank. I mean, I felt like I didn't feel like I was dehydrated. I felt like I was getting enough water, but I really didn't count it. And she actually started making me count it. So now she wanted me to take in like 100 ounces a day. I'm like, there's no way. I'll do the best I can. It's going to be somewhere between 60 and 80. But anyway, I'm going to the bathroom every 5 minutes. Yep. And I stop and I think to myself, if my body needs the water, why am I going to the bathroom so much? That's just the way that my mind thinks. Like, I don't know whether other people think this way or not, but I always go to, if my body needs something, it's going to tell me it needs it, and it's going to use it, and it's not going to get rid of it. So I'm drinking all this water, and I feel like I'm just going to the bathroom, and it's going out the door.
Yes, and so, never absorbed. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So you can actually be dehydrated even though you're drinking high volume water. This is huge news. This is helpful news. You don't need to drink that much water if you are using water that gets absorbed in your tissues. Finally, it's not just flushing through your system. By the way, when you drink water at that level, you're flushing out your electrolytes, which is your electrical system, your signaling for your electrolytes, and your nutrients. You're really, it's a flash flood, and it does just on inside our bodies what it does on the land. It just wipes out the topsoil. So, I want to help everyone think, I need a different kind of water. It needs to be in more concentrated form, this gel-like state. I'm not drinking gel or jelly. I'm drinking water that's just like liquid. It's just shift enough in its molecular structure. And that means it's only 10% more viscous than liquid to be in the phase already. So you can be drinking it as a liquid, but it's going to taste silky and soft, and you're going to notice right away your mouth feel, everything, your throat, it's getting absorbed. It's getting absorbed, and it's staying in your system. You notice you're not going to pee so much. You're all our signaling from nature that you've finally picked up Mother Nature where she does her work, and that's the right kind of water. That's not broken up by our taps and our bottles.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, and we're going to jump to getting Kenny involved in a second, but I had the opportunity a couple of times actually to experience his system, the Spring Aqua system. And you're absolutely right. I remember I was like, I've never had water like this before. I mean, the taste is different. The viscosity is different. It's almost like like you said, velvety. There's like a thickness to it, I guess, is what I would say. And yeah, like I remember, so it was a optometrist that introduced me, and he's talking about it. I'm like, come on, it's water. How different can it be? I'm like, he's like, you try it. I'm like, wow, what is this? Like, that was my first reaction. Like, I've never had water like this before.
I'm going to ask a really personal question. Are you peeing less?
So oh, it's so funny. Kenny and I were talking today. I literally just got the system myself about, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and we need a plumber to install it. So I don't have it in my home yet, fully functional. But so I only got a chance to try it,
Right.
when I was with Brian.
Well, you're going to come back to me as your
Oh,
body
yeah.
adjusts, because water's the great balancer.
Yep.
So we find when people get involved with structured water, what happens is they first saturate themselves. They're drinking a lot, and then suddenly they've hit that beautiful balance, and they do not need to drink as much.
Yep.
And that is the moment. These are like personal discoveries about our own body. We have to address our own systems, but it's so important. And another point I would love to share, Diane, is how important hydration is for sleep. People don't think of that because it seems like you're in the desert at night sleeping and you don't think about hydration, but your body really needs hydration to sleep well, to repair, to recover, to rest, and do all the work of waste management. At night, that's when your body's taking out the waste. And if you don't have good hydration in your system, and I don't mean volume, I mean the signaling to tell the cells, oh, time, the water molecule's coming by to pick up, get your trash to the door right now. Yes, all right, good, on to the next cell. This is a system that requires cooperation with nature. And we broke up water. We meant it for good, but it's had a huge impact. And the way we treat water to get it to your faucet means we've messed it up. And now we're just trying to restore it and recover it. So
yeah, no, it's great information for people to know. And I guarantee you, like, I had no idea. So I'm sure most people have not, never even gave that a thought, and don't realize what has been going on with the water system, for sure. So I think let's transition into Kenny, and
I'm here.
tell me how you guys met and how you got together and what you've created.
The same person that introduced you to me is the same person that introduced me to Gina.
Oh, how funny.
Brian.
Yep.
That's the funny part. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know what Brian said to Gina, but Brian called me, goes, hey, you got to reach out to the Hydration Foundation. They really need to talk to you. And
yes.
This is during COVID at that time. And we just texted. And one day Gina and I got a hold of each other. We scheduled a call, and we just, she said her prayers and we figured it out. And the first minute we talked, we hit it off. It was great. We're speaking the same language.
It's been a great partnership. And of course, Kenny, I'll just say really quickly that I founded the Hydration Foundation to find solutions for all of us, including, helping people eat food, but also supporting companies that are doing water recovery work like Kenny is doing, and restoring water back to its natural states. And I love finding people who are doing this. So we were a natural match.
It was definitely, for us, it's so important because we've always known about structured water. We've always known about different things, but we never really knew how to do the proper education, like how Gina does it, and to explain it to the masses. So for our company and the people working with us, and for a lot of our customers that are really passionate water lovers, want to help other people from the heart, it was very important that we had the partnership, working relationship with the Hydration Foundation to really help solidify the hydration aspect of actual water, right? And really to really learn the anthropologist background. It's fascinating about the whole, 8 glasses of water every day in the desert and the gel water, all that little thing. I mean, it's crazy. It's a lot of new information that is explained better. And I think the education is more important to get out so that everybody finds a way to begin to heal themselves. And Gina will be the first to tell you, you can add a pinch of salt to the water. That does help quite a bit structuring the water. Or you eat the right type of food, or eat a watermelon with pizza. Is that correct? A pizza and a watermelon, something like that, a combination. Simple applicational things that she really promotes in her book, Quench. It's an awesome book to read. That really just helps the masses understand that you can improve your hydration, your health today. And from that, we know that hydration is the foundation, to all health problems, right? So we're properly hydrated, and I think everyone will be a happier place. So that's kind of how we met, and from that conversation, it just continued to evolve. And she came over to Seattle. We hosted her. She met the whole staff from my whole team, from my CFO, CTO, And we sat down in our dining room table. She tried the water, did the whole kind of light test. Is pretty cool. But then we really worked together as a team to how do we simplify all the little nuggets that we have to explain. I remember that conversation we had on a table. And how do I take this out, make it so simple that if I say to somebody, they understand it. And we spent half a day just on just doing that. But that's kind of what we want to do. We want to offer the education to people so they can really understand what is the real hydration. Yeah.
Right. Well, you need both pieces. I mean, you know, it's the education we learn, like, oh, you know, there's different kinds of water and what is the difference and why is one healthier or better for us? And then, okay, now we have that information. What do we do with it? Like that's the first thing I mean, I guess as a deliverer of education via a magazine or as a marketer, either way, my thought always net goes to, okay, I learned this. Now, how do I apply it in my life? Like, how do I get this water? Like, it's great to know about it, but then you want to use it, right? Like, you want to implement that in your life so you can be healthier.
I'll tell you a story how I got started. I was just actually, I'm health and nutrition for many, many years. And I was going back to Asia in 2014, so a few years ago. I was just basically translating for a US-based company that was interested in making plant source supplements and delivered to, you know, China, to Southeast Asia. And I was considered the bridge because I understood both languages really well, right? And I had all the connections. It was at that meeting, there was a gentleman, we call him BBH, Big Brother Shao. He's actually, it was just a person I met at the meeting, but now it's my godfather because we're very close now. Okay. And he said to me after the meeting, hey, you're that kid I want to work with. So why don't you come back in 2 weeks, come to my house. Let's figure this out because there's so much good energy there. There's so much stuff you can do together. And I just thought, well, maybe that's a good opportunity. And that time we weren't even talking about water. It was just, let's try to get the world better, like healing and different things we were going to do. So I went back home in Seattle and flew back in 2 weeks. He took me out to a McDonald's, okay? Because that's their version of the American dream, McDonald's. You know? Oh God. So we had a fun time, but I realized he's the guy who developed the EKG, the guy who developed the ultrasound, the guy who developed the Rubik's Cube, the toy, the guy who had so many experience in engineering and manufacturing. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And so I was that person who, my dad had a really good friend, Sam, who just like a family friend, was connected to a professor who had the idea of the water, right? A physics professor. So I'm the guy who kind of brought the relationship together. And that's kind of like how it all began was, okay, you know what? I think we need a good manufacturing source, good material science engineering. That's my godfather. We need some good ideas. We put that together. And that's kind of how the whole program began, was just through all the relationships, like what we're talking right now, right? And the professor's story is fabulous. I mean, the group of scientists decided to study the different springs around the world. So we know the famous ones, the Lourdes springs in France, and probably the Nordinal springs in Germany. And they were trying to figure out, why is 4 to 6 million people go every year to the Lourdes and they bathe and they bring the water home, or they drink it or they buy the bottles, and they go for like all these miraculous reasons, right? So we want to know the reasons. So once you study the rock layers, the ecology, the water composition, we decided to, you know, we can probably, you can't replicate nature, it's impossible, but you can at least mimic, right? So what we decided to do was find a way to do the different filters, the rock layers, like 14 different filters. So what goes into underneath your sink, a lot of our customers call like a ecosystem in a box now. So I want kind of your audience to visual that what you have in your house is like taking the tap water, running through all the different rock layers and all the different filters, 14 of them coming on the other side, clean, structured, and hydrating water. And so that was the image that we thought that's the direction we have to go, you know, is to bring nature back into water, because we realized that Mother Nature had a right in the first place, right? So how do we bring it back, structure it so it becomes hydrating?
And what's great about this is we can get rid of all those plastic water bottles.
Yes, amen. Oh, please, yeah. You know, well, you get wiser when you start being well hydrated. You really become wiser, your own solutions. Yeah, Kenny, what were you going to say?
Well, I wanted to say, because the challenges you run into is obviously, like Gina said earlier, the water is being treated with, you know, chemicals, and obviously water is different quality every state, every region, right? And it's also contaminated differently. So we had to really learn first how to decontaminate the water through the filtration process to get it clean. And then we had to learn how to structure it properly. But we also learned that there are benefits in remineralizing the water properly, which is extremely important for hydration. Okay?
Mhm.
And also offering one thing that we learned in the Lords was there's a very decent concentration of hydrogen water. So we also kind of figured out how to add that to our system in a natural way, and it's dissolved and stabilized. So in essence, our system has two types of water. You have the clean, the structured, the normal drinking remineralized water with a regular, like a pH of a 7.4 that everyone can use for drinking, cooking, coffee, tea, plants, animals, all the good stuff. And then we also have the hydrogen water, which is something my godfather was very much into at that time, researching it. And we realized that, through the minerals done properly, we could create hydrogen water on the other side, which creates is a very known potent antioxidant, right? They say that a liter of good hydrogen water at our concentration level, 1.4 parts per million, may be equivalent to eating 750 bananas in antioxidant value.
Wow.
So I think there's some great benefits in having both available for the masses. They can pick and choose. And we recommend just a liter down the hydrogen water. But the idea is, like Gina said earlier, it's a kind of a broad, wholesome approach, the full package, right? So you have it under your sink. It's always going to be available. It's like it's always there. It never runs out of water, whether it's raining or whether you're out of electricity, because we don't use any power. And the idea is bring nature back into water, taking that tap water, make it into spring-like water.
Yeah. So let me just reiterate, if I have the steps correctly, so there's two systems, and you could one system is the system that cleans the water, remineralizes it, and structures it.
Correct.
And then there's a second system that adds the hydrogen to it, if you choose to have that as well.
Correct. And they all work together. The hydrogen has to coexist together because of the one full ecosystem, the way it works. But people do have the choice to get the structured water only as well. Yeah.
So I think what people are, if I go back to the original question, why can't I just drink bottled water? Why can't I just put a filter on my fridge or my sink, whatever? Yes, that may clean certain things. We went into the whole other aspect of how it's still not necessarily clean water, and what's happening is it's breaking down the structure of the water, which is really what we need to help with certain, all of our, biochemical processes and things like that. But just to have a filter is, technically, I guess, just cleaning it, and maybe not even so great in all of that, but it's not remineralizing it, and it's not structuring the water.
And again, I'll just say for the structuring part, that what you're missing from clean water is water, the molecules lined up in such a way that they send the orchestrated signals among all the cells. And that's the really important part.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and I agree. We have lots of customers in scenarios like that where they have a whole house system, a reverse osmosis, a distilled water system. We're complementary to them. Some people connect theirs to ours, so they'll take that water, run it through ours to get the full structure, the full remineralization, the full hydrogen, all that good stuff, or they just do the structuring. Either way works. So we do our best to accommodate them. We do make sure that we get their zip code properly so we understand the water quality in the region, because every area is a little bit different, right? So up in Connecticut and Seattle, the water is decent, but when you get down to California, Florida, Louisiana, it's a little bit different there. Vegas,
Not
so we're gonna make sure we do the best. We do the best care. I don't say not great, but it's different. It's a nice way of saying it. Yeah, and we'll do our best to help them out. But as Gina said, really we want to get, like, we've always believed nature had a right. Mother Nature had a right in the beginning. There's clean, hydrating water, and we've just done stuff to it to denature it. So what can we do to bring it back in the ecosystem in a box where it's going through the different minerals and rock layers coming out, so we have that spring-like water that you want, that you drink in a spring, that's available in your kitchen all the time.
Yeah. I'm so glad we did this podcast, and I have a bunch, as I work with a lot of different integrative practitioners, functional medicine doctors, naturopaths, all of that. And I'm excited to get this information to them, because I had a conversation with one of them about, okay, you're doing everything you can for your patients that might have, chronic diseases, you name it, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune, whatever it is. and you've got them, you know, you've changed their diet, you've got them on supplements, you know, they've gotten rid of mold in their home, they're doing everything they can do, but you're not talking about water. And it's almost like, it sounds to me like, wow, that should really be the first thing we focus on.
Right.
Yeah. So I will say that by molecular count, because the water molecule is so small, that your body, counting them all up, is 99% water.
Wow.
Now, that's the place to intervene in our health and our vitality and our joy for one another and our perception of life, how good it can be. No wonder we're draggling around, you know. Diana, I have to go catch a seaplane.
Okay, so I think we have covered everything, and we'll jump
This
on
has been
another
amazing.
podcast because I'm
This is
sure
fun.
there's way more avenues we could go with this. But before you go, Gina, I want to make sure people know, how can they
Yeah.
learn more about the Hydration Foundation?
Yeah. Hydrationfoundation.org. We actually rhymed it, and it's a nonprofit. My job is to get you as many ways to structure your water or flourish through hydration. So there's recipes on that website. There's science on that website. There's strategies for thinking differently. There's movement exercises, because we haven't even talked about how important motion is to distributing the fluids inside of you. So it's a very holistic approach, and we're so happy to share it with you. And it's all free. It's public service. This is my life passion and my work. And I'm so glad to support companies that are doing good work and are good people too, because it's really good to work with people who are on the, you know, the right side of heaven, if I can say. And I love working with Kenny. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm
Awesome.
sorry I have to run off, but
no worries at
blessings to
all.
you.
No, thank you so
Okay.
much for your time. So people can
Absolutely.
go to hydrationfoundation.org to learn more.
Yep. Yep. Or
And,
email me,
yep.
Gina, Gina,
Mhm.
at hydrationfoundation.org. I'm serious. I answer all my emails. If you have a question, I care about that. So just email me, okay?
Awesome. All right.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, and have a safe
Okay.
flight.
Thank you. Take care of each other. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And for people interested in learning more about Spring Aqua, we've actually, Kenny and I have actually set up a couple of different websites. You can go to either one. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to give you both of them. It's springaqua.info/natural nutmeg or springaqua.info/essential Naples. We just divided them up. If you're in the Florida market and you're picking up the Essential Naples magazine, you'll see the information with that website versus the Connecticut one, but they pretty much take you to the same place. And you can get all the information that you want. There's some amazing educational videos on there, and Kenny's available to answer any questions for sure.
Yeah, I'll be available when they opt in to get information, or get one of us, either me from the company, will be available to support you guys, help them out, just offer education. Diane is an amazing boss. I just learned so much hanging out with you and hanging out with Gina. All the information she has, pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it totally opens your eyes. I mean, we really,
Yeah.
like I said, I think most of us have just always thought like, well, I just, I got to drink this amount of water a day. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm either going to get bottled water or I'm going to put a filter on, and I think I'm doing a good thing. And now it's just amazing to learn, like, okay, there's a lot of things wrong with that in terms of what we thought was clean water is probably not. But even beyond that, just learning about the fact that it's not even the right structure. So
Yep.
yeah.
I think it's, as things continue to evolve, it'd be great for your audience down the road, come back a little bit, because we'll go into more details on how we do water restoration of the planet, even with the whole EMF issue with the structured water is a huge topic around that. There's a lot of cool things that Gina has from research, really solid science,
Right.
how structured water, it really affects the body, the cells, the DNA, all the goodness behind this. But you know what, we'll do it in phases, so it's not too much information.
This was a good start. I think people are going to be really interested. And like I said,
we're really supportive. And we're really supportive of the Hydration Foundation because we love their mission. The whole idea of finding many different ways to get your body hydrated from food, and eating the right type of food, drinking the right type of water. And also it talks about exercise. That's all important. And so our company is very passionate about the part of real education, getting everybody on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. We'll definitely be doing more of these.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for listening into this podcast. This lives on our websites, naturalnutmeg.com and essentialnaples.com, and it'll be e-blasted out to all of our readership. And thanks again, Kenny. Hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you, guys.